Well, our next guest has a front row seat to business competition in space, as well as right here on terra firma on the basketball court. Joining us right now is Paul Jacobs. He's the CEO of satellite and communications services provider Globalstar. That company is listing on the NASDAQ today. Paul's also a minority owner and vice chairman of the NBA Sacramento Kings, and he serves on the boards of Dropbox and ARM Holdings. And by the way, he's the former CEO of Qualcomm as well. And Paul, it's great to see you this morning.
Thank you very much. Sorry for such a long biography there.
You got a lot. Well, there's things we didn't even mention here, but why don't we just start with why you moved to the NASDAQ from the NYSE?
Yeah, so we're here, I mean, most of the companies, as you've seen, that have been involved with are tech innovators, and they're on the NASDAQ. And we're also here because we did a reverse split. Yeah. We're a multi-billion-dollar company, but our stock price was down in the dollar-ish range, and people thought of us as a penny stock, and some investors couldn't invest in us. So we're here sort of in conjunction with that, the relisting and the reverse split.
So there was a big Super Bowl ad on Sunday that T-Mobile put out talking about how its partnership that it has with Starlink is going to allow phone users, I think the words they said, the only space network that automatically connects you to the phone you already have for the deal that they have. Yesterday, T-Mobile shares were up about 3% on this. Your stock was up by 11.3%. AST stock was up by 23% because people kind of looked around and said, wait a second, there are some other players who are doing some similar things too. What did you think when you saw that ad?
I was super happy because now mainstream consumers are going to know that your smartphone can connect to a satellite. But I would also say that if you're a consumer and you're thinking about choosing that service, you might just check your phone and see whether it already has the capability, because hundreds of millions of phones have the capability to connect to satellites for text messaging using the Globalstar satellite constellation.
Yeah, you're partners with Apple, so anybody with an iPhone can already use that for emergency text situations. When will we be able to do what they're talking about, which is maybe talk on the phone, even when you're in an area where there is no self-service?
Yeah, so I can't really talk about our customers' plans, but one of our partners that's a supplier to us just announced that we made a big contract with them to build new satellites.
MDA Space?
MDA, exactly.
Yeah, right.
And those satellites are going to have some new capabilities, of course.
So, but how long is that going to take?
So we've already been working on the satellites. So, you know, satellites, something like a 3-year process, but we've been in it for a while already. So I can't say exactly when the service will launch, but
do you think there's a massive first mover advantage in this whole process? I mean, do you look at what T-Mobile is doing with Starlink and you say, okay, if everybody starts to go that direction, even if they want your service later, that they'll already hook up with somebody else? And then also, what's the pricing?
So we were in the first. I mean,
you were the first mover.
Right. And so now the question is, as you go along a technology roadmap and improve capability, I mean, that's the natural course of things. So the question is, what's a consumer willing to pay for? Is a consumer willing to pay for broadband, what I call Netflix in the mountains, which is broadband to your phone? And that's an unproven business model right now. What we do know is that there's a proven benefit to providing text messaging and other kinds of messaging that allow people to have peace of mind when they're out of cellular coverage.
What's your thought about what Amazon's ultimately going to do?
I think all of these services are super interesting. Now, Amazon, as is the original Starlink service, they're focused on broadband to a thing with a very large antenna that allows you to get very high data rates for like home internet or an airplane or a boat. So that's a slightly different concept than direct to a cell phone.
Can I ask you something a little off topic before we even talk basketball on this? Just your thoughts on what's happening in AI right now. It is not just the story of the day, but the story of the last year. Trying to find out what's happening with that. Your experience with Qualcomm, everything you know from the tech sector. Where are we right now? Is this a different moment in time? What do we know from DeepSeek? And how do you think things are going to play out between OpenAI and Elon Musk?
I mean, so much money is going into AI right now, and I've been through a lot of different cycles of technology where everybody got excited and hopped on board, and in the end, certain things show up that actually create a real business model, and other ones cause companies to go away or consolidation to happen and so forth. I mean, the capabilities are amazing, but they aren't perfect either, and I don't think we are yet to general intelligence, which everybody is, expecting is going to take over so many things from the human race. So we still have a lot of work to go before that happens. But sure, there's a lot of exciting things that are happening, and And as I said, a lot of money is going into that sector.
You think we're at the high water mark for that money that goes into it, or do you think we continue to build from here? Because that's been one of the major questions.
I think the question is how cost effectively can you actually serve what they call the inference. So that's actually when you put your data in and you get an answer out. And for sure, there's questions about how people will in different countries, in fact.
Yeah, is DeepSeek better? What do you think?
We don't know yet. Yeah. I mean, it's the need to actually look at these things very carefully. But there were already indications that you could train an AI model off of another AI model. So we knew that that was possible.
Right.
The question is, how good is the quality in the end of the reduced model versus the more extensive model?
Let's talk about the Sacramento Kings and how things stand. How are you feeling about valuations in basketball? How are you feeling about how the season's shaping up?
I mean, the valuations obviously have been going up because we're doing a good job attracting people wanting to watch the games, fans. The product is extremely good. Super excited about that. And we've opened it up for more investors as well. Funds can invest now and so forth. For the Kings, we've had a bunch of trades. We've changed our roster up. Excited with the new coach there. And we'll see how it's going. We had a nice streak for a little while, and we'll look forward to having a good rest of the season.
There have been some really big trades. Maybe Luka at the top of the bucket. That came as a surprise to everybody. Does that really shake up the entire league?
I mean, it's great that the Lakers have a strong lineup because obviously it's a big media market, so you want to make sure that you have a good team there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that people didn't expect to see Luka get traded. You have a superstar like that. Unfortunately, we had a shot at Luka early on, and we didn't draft him, so I've had a little envy of that over time. But in any case, it's good.
Who'd you draft instead? Do you remember?
Marvin Bagley. So he hasn't done quite as well as Luka.